Hello and welcome to the I24 News Sports Daily Magazine with all the scores and stories from the world of sports. Plenty of action coming up with Manchester City closing in on Chelsea in the Premier League, but also with a big concern regarding their leading player. Marseille has to win tonight to reclaim the top spot in France, and Pelé shows the world he's okay. All that and much more coming up just now. We begin with another troubling story from Qatar. The small Persian Gulf country is awarded with more and more international sporting competitions. The question is, should they really host them? It's not just the lack of sporting tradition or the mistreatment of foreign workers treated as slaves. It's also about the way they treat their guests. This is the image television viewers around the world saw after Israeli swimmer Guy Barnea won his heat in the 200 meters butterfly. Yes, the Star of David in the middle is missing, and if you think it's a mistake, think again. This is the image viewers saw last year in Qatar when Israeli swimmer Amit Ivri took to the pool. No flag at all. Yes, this is the country that FIFA thought should host the 2022 World Cup, and the IAAF thought should host the 2019 Athletics World Championship. I asked, how about respecting your guests first? Now to the Premier League, and just a bit over a week ago, Chelsea looked to be cruising to the title as they held an 8-point lead over Manchester City at the top. 8 days went by and the gap is now down to just 3. A week after being held to a goalless draw in Sunderland, the Blues returned with nothing from St James's Park. Papi Cissé scored twice for Newcastle. Didier Drogba's late goal was not enough for Chelsea, who got just 4 points from their last 3 matches. This result was obviously very good news for Manchester City, who met Everton at home. A Yaya Toure penalty was all they needed to secure their 4th consecutive win and cut the gap from Chelsea to just 3 points. But there's a major downside here. The citizens lost their most important player, Kun Aguero, to injury just 7 minutes into the match. It's unclear yet how long he will be out, but this is clearly a major concern for manager Manuel Pellegrini.
He has a problem with his ligament in his knee, but I think that tomorrow we'll know better how serious it is.
With it being a problem with his ligament, Manuel, would you expect him to miss the game in Rome on Wednesday?
Probably, yeah. Probably he will miss the game. We are not sure, I repeat in this moment, but it's very difficult when you have a problem in your ligament to recover in 3 days.
Now to Spain, where it is just another episode of the Messi-Ronaldo show, also known as What Record Will Be Broken This Time? 2 weeks after the Argentine became the all-time scorer in La Liga, it was Ronaldo's time to set up an incredible milestone. He scored all 3 goals in Real Madrid's victory over Celta Vigo, hat-trick number 23 for CR7 in La Liga, more than anyone else before, and his pace of 23 goals in 13 matches in the Spanish league is the highest ever, 1.77 goals per match. The 3 goals also bring his total tally in the Spanish league to 200, with 150 of them scored in the home stadium, the Santiago Bernabeu. Not only Ronaldo reached the milestone, so did his team. It was the 18th consecutive win for the Merengues, who equaled a record set by Barcelona 9 years ago, and a record they can break this coming Tuesday in the Champions League. In other non-record-breaking results from Spain, champions Atletico Madrid made sure they stay up there with the other 2 giants as they won 2-0 in Elche, Malaga won 1-0 in La Coruña, and Seville beat Rayo Vallecano 1-0 this afternoon. Now to Germany, where it was another win for Bayern Munich, but it was not as easy as you would expect. The Bavarians hosted Bayer Leverkusen in the Allianz Arena, and at least in the first half, they were not the best side on the pitch. The visitors had some chances of their own, including this one, which was cleared off the line following the defensive mishap and after Manuel Neuer was already beaten. Things did change after the break. 6 minutes into the second half, Frank Ribéry does it. His 100th goal for Bayern Munich was all they needed. The champions win 1-0 to keep their 7-point gap at the top from second place Wolfsburg. And after 14 matches in the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich are still undefeated. And while the Bavarians are trying to keep their rivals behind at the top, Borussia Dortmund is also trying to leave something behind: relegation zone. They came into the Friday match against Hoffenheim from the 18th and last place in the Bundesliga. Well, they're not there anymore. 10 minutes from halftime, Adrian Ramos heads in, much to the relief of manager Jurgen Klopp, who already heard the rumors about his ability to take his team out of trouble. Dortmund wins 1-0, and you just gotta love their fans. Even after all the disappointments, they never stop to cheer for their team. French League now, and after champions Paris Saint-Germain missed on an opportunity to climb to first in midweek, they may do it this time. PSG beat Nantes 2-1 at home. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, of course, was the man on target for the Parisian club. After the visitors took a surprising early lead, things are now up to Marseille, who will face Metz later tonight. Only a win will send them back to first. Anything else will leave PSG up top. But despite the somewhat strict image Marseille manager Marcelo Bielsa may have, his players say it's not exactly true.
The coach follows the same course of conduct. He doesn't change. He is distant, but he is really nice, very sympathetic. He may like sometimes to tell us jokes that make us laugh. Yes, sure, this happens all the time. In Spanish, we have a translator. You must know that the players do understand a little more Spanish, which is also good.
Buenos días, profesor. Buenos días, profesor. The action in the local league was not the only thing French football fans were worried about this weekend. There was something even more important happening these past few days. The mascot of Euro 2016 finally got a name. What is the mascot called? And when did this mascot tradition begin? Liz Barenbaum and Michael Friedman with the answers.
The mascot for Euro 2016 has just been named. Between the choice of Golix, Dribbleu, or Super Victor, internet users made their voice heard and picked Super Victor as the name of the mascot that will be the representative at the upcoming competition in France. Before Super Victor, dozens of mascots have been featured throughout history, with a more or less happy feel. Friendly creatures that are meant to embody major sporting events for dozens of years. The first World Cup mascot was at the 1966 World Cup in England and was one of the first mascots to be associated with a major sporting competition. World Cup Willie is a lion, a typical symbol of the United Kingdom, wearing a Union flag jersey. Since then, every World Cup has its own mascot, which is mainly oriented to kids, and they market it to be sold as a playful doll, magnet, or even keychain. Juanito was a little boy wearing a Mexican sombrero at the 1970 World Cup in Mexico. And then the 5 fuwas used during the Beijing Olympic in 2008 to Fuleco Armadillo, which ignited the last World Cup in Brazil. These icons display the characteristics of their country of origin. Frutix was the mascot the last time France hosted a big international event. He was the emblem of the 1998 World Cup, and he inspired the media. The blue rooster is the symbol of success, but also seen by many as a symbol of those who are not a true football lover. The mascots also reflect the evolution of society. In 2010, Wenlock and Mendeville were presented to the public in London. One was dedicated to the Olympic Summer Games, while the other was devoted to the Paralympic Games. This year, all the mascots of the Olympic Games gathered to welcome the newcomers, the figures of the Rio 2016 Olympic Games.
The idea of inviting the mascots of other Olympic Games is precisely to create emotion, because adults, young people, and especially children are delighted to meet these characters.
For the Paralympic Games, the mascot is a blue character covered with green and yellow leaves, the color of the Brazilian flag, symbolizing the rich flora of the country. The two creatures embody all of the diversity of Brazil. These are characters that always delight the young and old.
I find them beautiful. They're too cute.
The mission of the mascots sometimes exceeds their role as ambassadors. The stars of the Vancouver Winter Olympics in 2010 were Grizzly Sumi, Miga, the orca, and Mook Mook, the marmot. Those endangered species on exhibit provide public awareness.
86% of species at risk in British Columbia are at risk because of the degradation and the loss of habitat.
Beyond their playfulness, these mascots mark the competition and generations. Super Victor will look to bring hope to the future and the games.
Still with football, or maybe we should say soccer this time, as the final of Major League Soccer will be played tonight in California. The Los Angeles Galaxy will host the New England Revolution. One game winner takes it all. The home team is one of the most dominant forces in the MLS in the past few years. The team from LA won 4 titles in the past 6 years, but they have a tough challenge against the team from the Northeast, who left the New York Red Bulls and Thierry Henry behind them in the Eastern Conference Championship. This will be the last game for London Donovan, who announced he will retire at the end of the season, and he's very proud not only of his Galaxy team, but also of what the MLS has achieved over the years.
I could have never in a million years imagined playing against Thierry Henry in brand new stadiums. I could have never imagined playing with Robbie, a guy I followed as I became a professional and idolized so much, playing with David for so many years. All those things were, if you had said that in 2001, we would have said you're absolutely crazy. At the end of it all, I realized that I could have played on teams that were not as successful. I've been very fortunate, so I'm proud of what I've done. I've tried to be a good teammate, a good friend to people, and I think that's what's most important to me. Tell them I said hello.
Still with soccer, still in North America, where the draw for the Women's World Cup took place this weekend in Canada. The 24 teams who qualified to the tournament, set to take place next summer, were divided to 6 groups, with the top 2 qualifying to the second stage, along with 4 third-place teams. As always, one group has already been defined as a group of death. It's Group D, where 2011 finalists, the United States, will tackle 5th-ranked Sweden, 10th-ranked Australia, and African champions Nigeria. And despite the tough draw, the Americans are already waiting for the challenge.
Well, I think first and foremost, we wanted to qualify. Now we've qualified, and the draw took place. So now we know who we're facing, and I think for all of us, it's a little bit of weight lifted off. We now know who we're facing. We've got a lot of time to prep and prepare, and it's not going to be easy. All three teams are really tough opponents, but I like challenges. The team like challenges, and we're going to bring it on.
Now to some encouraging news from Brazil. 2 weeks after being admitted to hospital due to an infection and amid speculations on his situation, Pelé gave the world an indication of his real state. He posted a video message to thank his fans for their support, and after playing the guitar, he gave everybody the feeling that his condition is getting better.
Don't worry. Thank you very much. I know everybody worry about my health, but I am okay, okay? I invite you one more time to come to Brazil, enjoy the Olympic game. We're gonna participate in the game together. This is proving my health. Thanks God and thanks everyone who always play for me.
NBA now with the Rockets hosting the Suns in Houston. The Rockets have the second best record in the league. They were 15-4 coming into this game, but they had to deal without Dwight Howard, who was sidelined with a knee injury. Can they do it? Yes, sir! Especially with Patrick Beverley on fire. He shot 5 of 8 from downtown. The Rockets are not only about explosive offense, they also put on some strong defense. James Harden here gets the steal, runs the floor, and hands the assist. The Rockets came into the final period up by 13. The visitors from Phoenix did make a run to come in close, but every time the Rockets found the answer, one thing's for sure, you do not leave Beverley open on the three-point line. He led the Rockets with 19 points, showing the way to a 100-95 victory. It was their 7th win in 9 games. Now to some motor racing, though not as fast as you would expect. This weekend was time for the annual Wood Kart Race held in Quito, the capital of Ecuador. Youngsters between the ages of 6 and 16 raced in their homemade vehicles, some reaching speeds as high as 100 kilometers per hour. More than 50 children took off, gaining speed as they rolled downhill through Quito's steep streets. There were no injuries reported, but some drivers did crash just over the finish line. The decades-long tradition is part of the celebrations of the founding of the city on December 6, 1534, by the Spanish conquistadores. We had football earlier in our show. We will end with football as well, only somewhat different. These are the images from an amateur match this weekend in Greece. The game is stopped due to the presence of a goat that decided to wander on the pitch, much to the surprise of players, and stood in front of the goalkeeper. It was dragged out, somewhat unwillingly, but the goat wanted to stay a little longer, maybe even join the action. Eventually, a spectator arrived and took the goat by the horns and let him out to let the game continue. I wonder what the goat would have been like if they would have let him play. That's it for us today. Don't forget, you can watch this and every other show on our website at i24news.tv. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. And we will be here again tomorrow with Talking Football, covering all the action from the Spanish La Liga and the English Premier League. Till then, thank you for watching and have a beautiful day.